Hello everyone, this is Vinay here from Learn Coding with Vinay. In this video, we are going to look into the differences between using count star, count one, and count column in MS SQL. Right, so let's jump into the video right away. So I have basically created a very small table called employee, which has currently 7 rows in it. Right, out of which 6 rows has values in department. Right, and one row does not have value in department column, so basically it's null. I have kept one more example with the similar data, that we have values in location column for 6 rows, and we don't have value for location column for one row, right? So now let's see how does count one, count star, and count column name behaves. So let me fire this count star from employee. Right, so it gives us the 7 rows. Right, so basically number of rows in a table. If I use count one, and I you know and I fire this query, then it also gives me 7. So basically count star and count one, they works similar way, they produces the similar result, and there is no performance difference between these two, right? And as a matter of fact, you can use any number, not just one. You can start even from 1 to whatever number you like. And you can even use character also. If I go ahead and run this, then also it gives us the result as 7. Right, so basically count star and count one, any number or even any character, it will give us the number of rows in the database table. Right, so now let me move to the now count column name example. Right, so let me fire this query. Select count location from employee. Right, so it is giving me count as 6. Remember, we had 7 rows in the database table, right? But count column name, behavior of count column name is such that it only takes into the consideration not null values, right? Null will be eliminated. So that is the reason it is giving us the you know count 6 rather than 7. Right, let me take department also. Right, let me take department example. In that case also it will give us 6. Right, now since it has an extra check of checking whether a value is not null or null, right, and elimination is there, right? So count column name will be little slower than the count star and count one. Right, but it really depends where you want to use this. What is your business case, what is your requirement. So if you just want to calculate, how many rows are there in a database table, probably count star and count one would be a good choice for you. But let's say if you want to calculate how many rows has values in a particular column and how many don't or doesn't have, right? So in that case you can use count column name. And so for in this example, if I go ahead and run this query again, it will give me count 6, because we had 6 rows where we have value in department column, and there is one row where we have department as null. Right, so let's take a one more scenario. Let's say I still want to calculate using this query, that select count department from employee, basically table name, where department is null, and let's see what it produces. Right, so it gives me 0. Right, remember the why, because count column name only takes not null values. Right, now since we are checking over here is null, that null value, even if we are in the where condition, we are taking into consideration that we just need null values, but count column name will actually eliminate it. So this one is little tricky. You may be asked in interview question now, right? But let's say we still want to calculate that how many uh, column values are there in a particular tables column, and how many null values are there. Then what do we do, what should we do? Right, so in this case you can probably use count a column that we know for sure that there are no null. For example, I have used count id over here. Right, if I go ahead and run, then it will give me count one, because I know id will have always value, and most of the cases id, column with name id, not necessary although, but will be a primary key in your database table. Right, so use count your primary key, that will give you the exact count of null values, right? If you are using count column name, or even if you want to calculate not null, just write not null over here, then it will give us 6, right? So that way you can use count column name to calculate how many not null values and how many null values are there, right? Even let's say you don't have such column, right, that has no null values, right? So in that case you should go with the count star. So if I go ahead and run this, select count star from employee where department is not null, it will give me 6, right? And if I go ahead and run this query count star from employee where department is null, it will give me 1, right? So as a summary, if you want to just calculate how many rows are there in a database table, go for count star and count 1. And if you want to calculate how many not null values are there in a particular database tables column, then you can go ahead with count column name. Okay. Thanks a lot guys for watching this video. I hope you learned new something in this video, and hoping to see you in the next video. Thanks a lot guys.